بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. We talked about the first point under Bahth al-Riwa'i, the discussion regarding the narrations, and I would like to mention the second point, which is second part is about the fact that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is being the beginning of every surah. So we have hadith from Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, when he said, that كان رسول الله يقرأها ويعدها آية منها. A long hadith which I mentioned in the set. Nurul Sakaran 1-9. So this hadith teaches us that Imam Ali saying that Prophet used to recite it and count it as the ayat of the surah. When recite it means Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That means Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is part of every surah, and that's how obviously this is the beginning of the surah. That's how the surah begins. This beginning thing is not in this hadith, but I'm coming to the next one. But this hadith teaches us that it's part of every surah. Let's go to the next riwayat. وَالتَّسْمِيَ فِي أَوَّلِ كُلِّ سُورَةٍ آيَةٌ مِنْهَا. وإنما كان يعرف انقضاء السورة بنزولها ابتداء للأخرى. أنزل الله كتابا من السماء إلا وهي فاتحته. This is narrated in Tafseer Safi 170. So let me put the Arab first. والتسمية في أول كل سورة آية منها وإنما كان يعرف انقضاء السورة انقضاء السورة بنزولها ابتداء للأخرى وما أنزل الله كتابا من السماء إلا وهي فاتحته. Okay. Tasmiyah means Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and Tasmiyah is in the beginning of every surah. في أول كل surah. The beginning of every surah. وآية منها. And it's an ayat of that surah. Now the Sunni brothers don't consider Bismillah to be ayat of that, to be part of any surah except Surah Al-Fatiha. They say it's not part of any surah, other surah of Quran. So we consider Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to be part of every surah. Wherever Allah has revealed Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the beginning of surah, it's the part of that surah. وَإِنَّمَا كَانَ يُعْرَفُ انقضاء السورة, and the end of any surah was recognized بنزولها, through Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Whenever Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was revealed on the Holy Prophet, this was the alamat and sign that now the previous surah has ended. Because new Bismillah has been revealed. So that's how it was known to the public that the previous surah has ended, because now new Bismillah has been revealed. بنزولها ابتداء للأخرى. So new Bismillah is revealed as a beginning of the new one, new surah. وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ. That's another great information we are learning from this, that وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ كِتَابًا. Allah has not sent down any book from the heaven, من السماء, إِلَّا وَهِيَ فَاتِحَتُهُ, except that Bismillah is the beginning of that book. So all the divine books that have been sent on the previous messengers, the beginning of the book was always Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is something common in all the books. We have narration from Ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and that's narration from Sunni brothers. This is from Mansur. This is narrated from Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abi Dawood and Ibn Abbas. كان النبي لا يعرف فصل حتى ينزل عليه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ibn Abbas narrates that كان النبي لا يعرف فصل السورة حتى ينزل عليه Prophet did not used to recognize the separation of the surah, that means separation of one surah from the next one, the previous surah from the next one, حتى ينزل عليه, until Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was revealed on him. The same thing narrated from the Sunni source as well. So this is from Tafseer Durr al-Mansur 110. Durr al-Mansur is regarded as an authentic source in their eyes. So, so when Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim used to be revealed, this was taken as a sign, previous surah has ended, now this is the start of the new surah. Not that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is the last ayat of the previous surah. No. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was the beginning ayat of the next upcoming surah. And that shows that the previous surah has ended, and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not part of the previous surah, it's part of the next surah. The next surah is starting with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. If Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was considered to be part of the previous surah, then you would find it should be written at the end of every surah. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, the last surah in the Quran. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, maliki nas, ilahin nas, min sharri al-waswasil khannas alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas min al-jinnati wan nas. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is it written like this? No, Bismillah is not at the end of every surah, and it's not part of the end of the surah. It's a sign of the start of the new surah, and it's part of the new surah in the beginning of that. So, okay, can I erase it? I'll fix it in it. The third point is about Rahmatul Amma and Rahmatul Khassa in the light of the Hadith. Here's the Hadith from Muhammad Sadiq alayhi salam. الرحمن بيد جميع خلقه والرحيم بالمؤمنين خاصة. This hadith is narrated in Nur al-Saqalain 112, Tafseer Nur al-Saqalain. So here, Salih Islam is saying that Rahman is over all the creatures. بِجَمِيعِ خَلْقِهِ. So we learned that his rahmat of Rahmaniyat, rahmat related to the name Ar-Rahman, is related to all the creatures. That rahmat relates and connects with all the creatures. It's towards all the creatures. وَالرَّحِيمُ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ خَاصَّةً. And Rahim is towards the mu'min people only. So rahmat of Rahmaniyat is for all the creatures, and that's why we call it Rahmatul Amma, general mercy, all-inclusive general mercy. Rahim is towards the mu'min people only, and that's why we call it Rahmatul Khassa, means specific mercy. This is very clear in the explanation. So this is why it is said that Ar-Rahmanu Ismun Khas Bisifatin Amma. War-Rahim Ismun Am. Khas. Rahman is Ismun Khas, the specific name. Remember, I mentioned in one of the classes that we cannot put the name of our son as Ar-Rahman. That's not allowed. It's a specific. You cannot say Allah. Can you name Allah for your son? Rahman is like Allah, specific name. Specific name of Allah cannot be assigned to anybody, any human, anything. So Ismun Khas means it's specific to Allah only. It's a specific name of Allah. So you cannot put the name Ar-Rahman for anything or any human. So it's an Ismun Khas. That means a name specific to Allah only. Bisifatin Amma, with the general application. That means the application and tatbiq of Rahman is on our Bijami al-Khalqi, or all the creatures. We just learned it. Or Rahim Ismun Am. Rahim is not a specific name of Allah only. It's a general name. So you can put the name Rahim to your son. That's allowed. Anybody can have a name of Rahim. It's not specific to Allah only. Yes, the original source of Rahmat is no one else other than Allah. But the name is not specific to him. Rahim Ismun Am. It's a general name. Bisifatin Khassa. The application of this general name is specific to the mu'mineen only. So this type of rahmat that we are discussing under the name Ar-Rahim is not a general mercy. General mercy is not ma'khuz, not taken into consideration when this name was coined. General mercy was not taken into consideration. Specific mercy, specific mercy was taken into consideration. That was towards the mu'min people only. So the application of the name is khas, means specific to certain categories of one category of people only. Whereas the name itself is Ismun Am, it's a general name. That means you can put it to anyone other than Allah. This is also narrated in, this is in the hadith that in Isa ibn Maryam, Prophet Isa, son of Mary, said, Ar-Rahman, Rahman al-Dunya, Ar-Rahim, Rahim al-Akhirah. Rahman, Rahman, والرحيم رحيم الآخرة. That means Prophet Isa said that Rahman is the Rahman of dunya and Rahim is the Rahim of Akhirat. This is another point that we learn from this hadith. That Rahman, some of the narrations like this tell us this point, although some other narrations are saying a different thing, which I am coming to that point very soon. So this narration teaches us that Rahman, Allah, who is Rahman ar-Rahman, his Rahmaniyat, his mercy of Rahman relates to dunya only. So he is Rahman over believers and non-believers in the life of this world only. So Rahman is the Rahman of dunya, whereas Rahim, his Rahmat of Rahmaniyat, relates to Akhirat. That means the mercy towards the mu'mineen, specifically for the mu'min people only. That mercy is the mercy that Allah is going to do on the mu'min people on the Day of Judgment. So this is where the Rahim name relates to that specific mercy done on mu'min people only on the Day of Judgment. Whereas Rahman is the Rahman of dunya. In the life of this world, Allah is giving mercy, giving rizq, for example, to believers, non-believers, to everyone. So he's Rahman of dunya and is Rahim of Akhirat. This is one thing narrated in this hadith, and that is narrated in Majma' al-Bayan 93. Majma' al-Bayan is the best tafsir of Quran before Tafseer al-Mizan. Volume 1, 2, page 93. 1, 2 are combined. So that's why I wrote 1, 2 together. So, and then there is another narration from Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, where he said in his dua, Rahman al-Dunya wal-Akhirah, wa rahimahuma. That means in the dua of Imam Rida alayhi salam, he is calling Allah to be Rahman of dunya, Rahman of dunya wal akhirah, Rahman of dunya and akhirah. That means he is Rahman in dunya and akhirah both. Here in this hadith it says Allah is Rahman of dunya, but in that hadith it says Allah is Rahman of dunya and akhirah both. So there are certain things that Allah is doing towards even the non-believers, believers and non-believers both, in dunya plus in akhirah. Whereas he is Rahim also for related to life of dunya and akhirah both. So there are certain things that he will do towards mu'mineen in dunya, and plus he is going to do certain things towards the mu'mineen in akhirah as well. So this is another very good point to learn. And I don't think there is a clash between this previous hadith and this hadith. There is no clash. There are certain things that there is a room to do towards mu'mineen, not only in the akhirat, but also rahimahuma means rahim of dunya and akhirat both. So there is a room for certain things to be done for mu'mineen only in dunya and for them in akhirat. And there are things that can be done for disbelievers and believers in dunya and disbelievers and believers in akhirat. So it's not clashing with each other. Let's go to the next hadith. Shall I erase it? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing the rizq, sustenance, indiscriminately. Indiscriminately in the sense that so many people who are sinning against Allah, so many people don't even believe, forget about sinning, they don't even believe in God. That's about usuluddin, the beliefs of the religion. The belief is missing. I mean, sin comes about the actions after you believe. They don't even believe in God. That's a bigger issue. Praying or not praying is a very big issue, but that's still smaller as compared to believing in God. Tawheed, oneness of Allah, is much bigger than the issue of prayers. So some people don't even believe in Allah, but Allah is still providing the rizq and sustenance to believers, to non-believers. So here is the hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He said that Ar-Rahman alladhi yarhamu بسط الرزق علينا. Rahman is the one who provides His mercy through spreading His rizq upon us. Allah extends His rizq upon us. Rizq is so much extended beyond limits, because there are no limits of you believe in Islam only and then you get the rizq from Allah, you believe in such and such belief system, then you will get the rizq, otherwise the angels will stop bringing the rizq and sustenance for you. There's nothing like that. You believe or you disbelieve, you deny God, you be an atheist, agnostic, whatever. He is going to give the rizq for every living existence. And this is part of the rahmat of Rahmaniyat, which is Amma, means all inclusive. This is what we mean. So He provides the sustenance and rizq to everyone, believers and disbelievers, indiscriminately, in the sense that all of them get it. No one is deprived because he doesn't believe, now he's going to stop receiving the rizq. No, that's not the case. Yeah, there are some factors in Islam. If you do certain good things, your rizq will get increased, and if you, in certain factors, you will lose the rizq, certain amounts of your debts there. For example, you give charities, sadaqah, you will get more rizq from Allah. And obviously there are factors, if you do certain things you'll get more, if you do certain other things you get the decrease in your rizq. Those are there, but He's not the one who is depriving any person because he is not believing in God. So Ar-Rahman, and the other narration, this one is narrated Tafseer Safi 169. Tafseer Safi is that tafsir. Remember in one of the lectures I taught about the different types of tafsir that we have for Quran, and in those types I talked about, we have tafsirun riwa'i. Some of the tafsirs are entirely based on narrations. Some of the tafsir are based on intellectual explanations. Some of the tafsirs are have philosophical arguments in it. Some of the tafsir are Quranic tafsir. Quranic means one ayat is utilized to interpret another ayat of Quran. So using one ayat to do tafsir of the other fellow ayat. This is called tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran, right? So we have several ways. There are some of the tafsir it's like Mizan. One of these beautiful attributes is that it is philosophical, intellectual, philosophical, narration-based, plus interpreting Quran through Quran. So all those four things are there in Tafsir al-Mizan. The Tafsir al-Safi, on the other hand, is a Tafsir al-Riwa'i, is a Tafsir which is based on narrations. So if you are turning to Tafsir al-Safi, means you want to find out what the narrations have said about certain ayat of Quran, then you turn to this Tafsir, because this Tafsir is of the category of narrations, Tafsir based on the narrations from the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. Okay, so another narration says, Ar-Rahman al-Atif ala khalqihi. I wrote the talk because it's a long hadith, but I'm omitting something which is not directly related to our discussion. Al-Atif ala khalqihi bil-rizq. لا يقطع عنهم مواد رزقه وإن انقطعوا عن طاعته. This narration is narrated in Bihar 89-248. Rahman is the one who al-Atif ala khalqihi, who has affection towards his creatures. He is affectionate and compassionate towards his creatures. The risk. So he keeps on giving the risk to them, the sustenance. La yaqta' anhum. He does not cut off from them mawad rizqihi, their materials of their sustenance. وَإِن انقطعوا, even though they break an ta'atihi, from his obedience, even if the creatures, the people break away from Allah, break away from the obedience of Allah, that means they stop having obedience towards God, but still Allah does not cut off the materials, substances, commodities of their rizq. Continues to provide. Their crops are growing, their fields are green, their rain is still coming, the risk is still coming their way, and Allah did not block it from them. This is related to the rahmat of Rahmaniyat of Allah. So, the last narration before we come to the end, Amma Rahman fahuwa awnun li kulli mu'min. So, another narration teaches us that Amma Rahman فهو عون لكل من آمن وهو اسم لم يسمى به غير الرحمن. تبارك وتعالى. وأما الرحيم فرحم من عصى. This narration has a very clear description. فرحم من عصى وتاب وآمن وعمل صالحا. This is narrated in Bihar 1061. So here it says that Amma Rahman, as far as the Rahman goes, فهو عون لكل من آمن وهو اسم لم يسمى به غير الرحمن. So here we learn a new point in this narration, different from the previous narrations. Here we are learning that Rahman is the one who is the helper for everyone who has Iman, everyone who has faith. وَهُوَ اسم, and it's a name not given to anyone other than Rahman, anyone other than Allah. So only Allah can be called Rahman, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, the blessed and the high. وَأَمَّا الرَّحِيمُ, and as far as Rahim goes, فَالرَّحِمَ مَنْ عَصَى. Rahim is the one who, Rahim had mercy over the one who sinned, وَتَابَ, and did the tawbah, the repentance, وَآمَنَ, and had Iman and faith, وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, and perform the good deeds. So if we, after the sin, we realize and we do the tawbah and we correct ourselves, we acquire the Iman and we do the good deeds along with the Iman, all this chain, the process that we will go through, process of guidance we go through, is because of we are receiving that specific mercy of Rahim, of Allah being Rahim. That specific mercy is coming towards us. And because of that mercy coming towards us, we end up, after the sinning, we end up doing the tawbah and having the Iman and performing the good deeds. All these things are signs that that specific mercy have come our way, and because of that we are doing it. So,
This is from the Sadiq alayhi salam.
this one, I haven't written, so I will not
That's fine.
say. I can check, but I have not written.
Doesn't this contradict the other stuff we studied before? Because before we said the Rahman is for the inclusive mercy, not just for the believers.
Yeah, so this one does not say that it is only for the believers. If it had said it's only for the believers, it would clash. It just mentions one more aspect of Rahmaniyat, that Rahman is an aun and helper towards everyone who has believed. So Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala his rahmat is for mu'min and disbelievers both. So it's not denying that rahmat of Rahmaniyat is for mu'min people only, and it's not denying that it's for disbelievers. It is for disbelievers as well, but it does include that aspect inside the concept of Allah being Rahman, that aspect of the mercy which relates to the mu'min people, and He is a helper towards them for those people who had the Iman. So basically, Rahmat of Rahmaniyat is operating in sync with the Rahmat of Rahimiyat. So it's not clashing with that, but because in Rahman we did say that mercy relates to mu'min and disbelievers both. So it's not opposing the disbelievers, it's just elaborating about how it relates to the mu'min people. So there is no clash on that. So Rahman is a helper for everyone who had Iman, and it is a helper, that's so true. So if I had, for example, if a believer, if somebody will end up having Iman, Allah provides him the mercy, he becomes a mu'min because of the mercy of Allah. He continues, Allah is providing the life, Allah is providing the life, the risk and sustenance even to disbelievers. And if somebody turns into a believer and becomes a mu'min, that's because it's related to the concept of the mercy of Rahman. And now that he turns a mu'min, the Rahim takes over from there. And mercy of Rahim, mercy of Allah being Rahim, that specific mercy comes further in his way, and then because of that mercy taking over, he performs the tawbah, and he acquires the Iman, tawbah from the past deeds, acquires the Iman, and then start correcting his behaviors and doing the right thing after that. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
اللهم صل على